And I'd be sitting next to the window going, it's outside the window, and so we're like, so we go back to Akron and we're like, David Bowie's going to produce us in Tokyo. And then he called up and said, the only thing that could throw it off is if I get a role in a movie that's called Gigolo, The Gigolo, I think it was called, the name of the movie. I don't even remember the movie, but he shot it in 1977, and he called up and said, I got the role. And we're like, oh no. So what does that mean? He says, well, we're not going to Tokyo in January, we'll have to do it after. And I didn't know how long a movie took. I figured, what's that take, a year, 2 years? How long did it take to shoot a movie? I had no idea. He didn't really explain that. So the next week, we're in New York, Kansas City again. We have the same kind of guest list, where you're not going to make any money because Steve Martin and Sally Kirkland and Francis Ford Coppola are all on your guest list, and they brought big entourages. And Brian Eno was there with Robert Fripp, and they said, what are you guys doing after the show? And we said, oh, what we always do is nothing. And so we went to Robert Fripp's house, and they wanted to produce Devo. And we said, well, David Bowie was going to produce this, but he can't do it. And so we didn't know it. They had just finished Heroes like a month or so before that. And it was, Low. They just finished the album Low, and Brian he was kind of angry about his credits on the Bowie album. He felt like he didn't get the credits he deserved. I didn't know that at the time. I found out when we were in Germany together with the two of them, and they were bickering at the dinner table. So he really pushed him being the producer, and we said, but we don't have a record deal. And he says, don't worry about it. I'll pay to fly you guys over to Germany. I got a studio I like to work at in a place called Neunkirchen. I just did an album called Music for Airports there, and you'll like it. It's really electronic friendly, and it's in a pigsty in a farm, a converted pigsty, and I'll pay all the expenses. I know we'll sell the record. We'll worry about it later. So, it's like a month or so later, we flew to Germany with Brian Eno. But Bowie was doing Gigolo in Berlin. So it was during a period when he wasn't flying on airplanes because people go through those things. And so he would get on a train on Friday and take a train over to Neunkirchen and hang out with us all weekend. But he wasn't really the producer, but he was out there, and he was kind of a nice guy. He was fun to be with. And
so Mark,
that's way more than you need to know.
Okay, I wanted we're going to end this question and answer period at 8:30, and given that it takes about 15 minutes for one question, I think let's have just a quick question.
A yes or no question.
One yes or no question, and then we're going to have the book signing.
A seance.
Okay, so quick question over here.
Yeah, what'd you have for breakfast, Mark?
Where do I have breakfast?
What did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for breakfast?
So what did you
today?
What did you eat for breakfast? That's a yes or a no.
It's a quick question.
I ate part of a cracker from La Brea Bakery with a little bit of cream cheese because my wife wasn't watching.
All right, let's get one more up now. Yes, this is
plans for more sculptures?
More, you want to see more sculptures, or?
Yeah. Any plans for making more?
Oh, are there?
In this show, it's eventually is it going to ever get out here?
Yes, the exhibition that opens in Denver. I'm going to do a little plug here. So the exhibition opens in Denver October 30th. and that'll be its biggest venue, and then it'll travel around the country. And so then it goes to the Minneapolis Institute of Art afterwards, and then it goes to Cincinnati to the Contemporary Art Center, and also a piece will be at the Cincinnati Museum of Art. Then it goes to Austin. It'll be there at the Austin Contemporary during South by Southwest, and around that period. And then it will go to Los Angeles in the beginning of the fall of 2016, and then it'll be in New York in 2017.
Okay, but as far as sculpture, yes, I'm kind of like, I got to, earlier this year, I got to go to Guadalajara, and I had designed this little character. He was somebody that he was kind of like some sort of a different version of Boogie Boy that was showing up in drawings, and then I had made some three-dimensional fiberglass versions of him here, and then through artist friends, found out about this fabricator that had a ceramics company, and
It was me.
oh, that's right. Adam, he got me down to Guadalajara, and it was a great experience. It was like even when I broke a bunch of them, which was like one of those things where, like dominoes, where I'm painting away and kind of out of my mind, and I tipped one ceramic little guy over, and then like 7 of them all went off the table. It was hideous. I want to do more sculptures, yeah.
Yeah, and there will be more sculpture because one work that didn't even make it into the book will be.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, do you want to speak about that?
When we were planning some tours, he did this thing where if you you could download his album for $7, you could get a CD for $15 and the download. You could get a CD, a download, and a T-shirt for $35. You could get a T-shirt and a poster for $50. You could get a blah, 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 blah. And you could go out to lunch with him in Long Beach at either P.F. Chang's or what was the other restaurant? Cheesecake Factory. And you could go to one of those for $350. You could get all that stuff. Plus, you could go have lunch with him for $20,000. My wife and I found out that you could come over to our house and have dinner with us one night, and somebody did. Somebody over, and we're like, well, how do you know Josh, and why are you guys here tonight? And he went, well, because I bought the $20,000 package. And then, but anyhow, there was a $50,000 package, and that included a drum kit that he played on stage. That Josh, what a guy. Anyhow, so I met this guy, James Zigris, a gemologist who was a friend of his. Part of it was he took us out to eat, and he said, come to my place afterwards. And I was kind of not that, I was like, we're on Regis and Philwood, or whatever that's called. Regis and Philwood, whatever that's called. And I said, it's 6 o'clock, Josh, it's on at 6. That means it's 3 o'clock LA time, and we just came in from LA. You're going to be really tired being on TV at 3 in the morning. He goes, no, we gotta go to this. So we went over to his house, and this guy was a very interesting, kind of strange guy, but we saw all these gems and things, and he was serious into gemology and supplying like beautiful things for people of wealth. And he had this one kind of ugly stone sitting on a table, and he said, hey, pick that up. And I picked it up, and I go, yeah, what's that? And he goes, you just picked up the world's largest ruby. And so, Josh and the 2 other guys that were with us, James was offering everybody pot, and I don't smoke that much, and so I didn't smoke that day either. But they smoke a lot, And so as soon as he said, that's the world's biggest ruby, they went, woo! So I got my picture taken holding this thing that just looked like a sandy stone because it had a rind around it. He said, no, inside it's a ruby. So he took my picture with it, and we saw him a couple weeks later. He was at another show, and I said, what are you doing with that ruby? He goes, I don't know. What do you do with something it's big and it's awkward and I don't know what to do with it. And I said, why don't you let me carve it into something? And he said, really? What? And I said, and I started thinking, because he'd been telling me stories about who buys expensive gems, you know? And it's I'm going to guess it's probably nobody in this room is a billionaire, but the people that he dealt with oftentimes are very rich. It's like somebody wanted to put together all the raw gold and all the gems for a precious box that some sheik was going to, the prince was going to get a ring from Mesopotamia to give to his wife, and they needed a big, beautiful, expensive box to put it in. So he supplies all that stuff. And so, anyhow, he said, so I'm thinking all these people that he's deals with, he's like talking about creepy communists and mafiosos, and corrupt, it's like, I know, we're going to carve it into a custard, make it shape like a turd. What? Whoa. And so he's like, he thought, he just kind of, we kind of dropped it at that. And he called me up about a month after that. He goes, Mark, I just told, and I don't see James. I think he probably left a long time ago. But, oh, there, that's not another thing. Was it the king of Saudi Arabia? Who was it that thought it was funny?
Might have been a sheik.
Oh, a sheik of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
What?
Guitar.
Okay. He said, I'm in Bel Air and I just told blah, blah, blah. So, about your idea to carve the largest ruby in the world into a custard. And he thought that was the funniest thing in the world and that we should do it. That was 4 years. It's been like 5 years, right? That we've been working on it. It went to where did it go?
Hong Kong.
No, not Hong Kong.
Went to Hong Kong first.
Oh, went to Hong Kong. And it scared me. Because you can only carve a ruby with diamonds. Because diamonds are like, I'm repeating things other people have told me, but diamonds are the hardest gemstone, and rubies are right below them. So you go through like how many thousands of dollars worth of diamonds to carve a ruby into a custard. So it's so big. And made a cone out of bronze, cast bronze, polished. It looks beautiful. And I don't think I'll get to do another ruby, but that's something.
All right.
Thank you all for coming. If you'd like to purchase a book, you can form the line against this wall up the stairs.